So the story that I'm going to tell is from the Amazon jungle, the rainforest of Ecuador. And the rainforest is a very special place in the whole world and very famous for having lots of wonderful and maybe even magical plants. And this is the story of one of those plants, and it's called Guayusa. So in every culture in the whole world, people drink caffeine. It's something that we don't know exactly why, but it's come about like so many things cross-culturally that it's just like a friend to humans, that everybody drinks some kind of caffeine. In India we have chai, in America we drink coffee, and the people in the jungle of Ecuador drink a tea made from the leaves of the Guayusa tree. And Guayusa is actually a kind of holly tree, which is also found all over the world. So the reason that I heard this story is because I had the chance to go to Ecuador as well and learn from the culture of the Kichwa people. So there are Kichwas that are one of the tribes that have been living in the jungle since who knows when. They've been living there in more or less the same way for many thousands of years and have an incredible interdependency with the plants and animals of the jungle. So the story of the Guayusa plant is the story of one woman, and she was living in a small village. And she was a very beautiful woman, and she had very long hair, and she was very strong and able-bodied, but she was extremely lazy. And all of the other women in the village were not like her. They used to work very hard, and the main way that they made their livelihood was by growing bananas or plantains and yucca, the yucca root. And they also used to grow a lot of delicious fruits and other plants and herbs for their own medicines. And they used to have to work hard every day. They would go in the sun and they would chop away all the other plants that would spring up in no time in the heavy rains of the rainforest. And this was how they supported their families and supported themselves, as well as from the hunting that their husbands did in the jungle. But this one woman, she just would not work. She was strong and able, but she was very fond of sleeping or walking through the jungle. She didn't like to go out in the sun and work hard, and she didn't like to have her own farm. So, since she still had to eat, she made it her habit to steal from the other farms that were nearby. So she would go in the early morning or in the late evening, and she would sneak in very carefully and quietly into the garden, and she would cut all the foods that she needed to eat for that day. And it wouldn't be until the next morning when the other women realized that their fruits and vegetables were gone. So this woman used to have a very bad reputation in her village, as you could imagine. And everybody was always angry, and they would say, wow, she's so lazy, she's so greedy, she's so wrong, why is she stealing? But the woman used to carry on like this. One day, this woman went out and she was just walking towards one of the gardens in the late evening, and she was walking through the beautiful jungle, looking at the butterflies and the monkeys that were scrambling over the trees. And she was walking and walking, and then she became stuck suddenly, and she was like this, and her hair became tangled in the branches of one of the trees, and she was incredibly afraid. She kept pulling and pulling like an animal caught in a net, and she couldn't get free. And she was struggling and almost starting to cry when she heard a voice say, "Hello." And the voice was speaking to her. He said, "You are the one who steals vegetables and fruits from the garden." And she couldn't even answer. She was so shocked. But the voice continued to speak to her and say, "You cannot carry on like this. Everyone in this world needs to support themselves and work as long as they are able. You are able," he said, and the branch was pulling and even stretching her hair more and more as it spoke. And the voice said again, "I am the Guayusa tree. "Do you know who I am?" The woman answered slowly, "No." And the Guayusa tree continued to speak. "If you make a tea from my leaves, you will realize something very amazing." And he continued to explain about how to make tea from the Guayusa tree. "If you boil my leaves for just 10 minutes, you will find that there's a nice, delicious tea ready for you to drink. Now just you try to drink this tea and see if you'll continue to be lazy like this." And he started to let go of her hair as he spoke. And so he said, "Now you must gather leaves from my tree. You will find many Guayusa trees growing in the jungle. They are one of the gifts that God has given in this earth for the human beings." And so he told her that she had to take leaves from the Guayusa tree and bring them to her home and start to make a tea. And she was very scared, and finally the tree let go of her hair and it flowed down and it was very long, and she braided it up quickly so it wouldn't get caught in any more trees. And she plucked all the leaves and she made a little basket from the fronds that were growing on the forest floor, and she carried home the Guayusa leaves to her house. And right away she took water from the river and she put it in a pot and she started to boil the Guayusa tea. So the very next morning she was drinking this tea and she felt something so different come over her that she, for one time in her life, was not going to be lazy. She felt so much energy and vitality, and she also felt the lesson that the Guayusa tree had taught her about the need of hard work. And so right away she started to plant her own garden. She didn't go into the other women's garden. She didn't take a leisurely walk in the jungle. She got right to work and she started clearing a plot in the jungle. And right away she began to grow all the things that she liked to eat, such as yucca and plantains and papayas and bananas and pineapples. And it took a little while, but she kept drinking Guayusa tea, 1 cup every couple of hours, and she felt so strong and so healthy and happy and ready to work that soon her garden was more beautiful than any of the other women's gardens from where she used to steal the vegetables. And after just a few months, she had all the most beautiful fruits ready and growing, and all the women became so surprised. They said, "There's that lazy woman. How is it she has all these fruits?" And that's when the lazy woman explained the story of how the Guayusa tree had taught her about the plant Guayusa. And then all the other women in the village also learned how to make Guayusa tea, and they used to make it every morning, early in the morning, for all of their family, and it helped them to work hard all day long.